Hello, Canucks fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Canucks Conversation, brought to you by the great folks over at Montana's. You've heard us talk about them before, folks. They've got their new comfort menu. They've got the daily deals, 7 locations across British Columbia. You can go check out Montana's and on us. You might be able to do it on us because, folks, right now, we have got a contest going on all of our social media platforms. I'd prefer if you went to the Instagram personally because I've been doing the graphics there, as I've said a few times now. I'd like you to go to the Instagram. All you got to do, like the post, follow Montana's, follow at CanucksArmy.com, tag your friends in the comments. Each comment is an entry. You don't need to, we don't put limits or anything like that. So you want to increase your odds? Get commenting. Get commenting on the Canucks Army Instagram. $100 gift card from Montana's Barbecue up for grabs. Now, I know what you're saying. You might be saying, Quads, you said it was going to end on the 16th. I don't like my odds. I don't like not having enough time. Nope. We've moved the contest. We've extended the contest. It is live today. As you're listening to this, it is live, unless you're listening to it past February 19th at 5 p.m., because that is when the contest now ends. The winner will now be announced on Monday, February 20th. And we'll be announcing that winner. So be sure to go check out Montana's. But we've got some business to take care of, Chris. My name is David Quadrelli. I'm joined, as always, by the man who built the place, Chris Faber. Our technical producer today is Alex Allard. And I got to tell you, Chris, I am pretty excited. Today is a very special day. And for those that haven't heard already, the Arty-Party is starting.
Arty-Party.
That's right, folks. The Arty-Party starting. I'm leaving the music in the background. I've got my best party attire on. This gold watch you gave me, I couldn't figure out how to resize it. You got to unscrew some stuff, and it's your wrist is a little bit bigger than mine, so it doesn't quite fit. But today, the Arty-Party comes to Vancouver, folks. Rogers Arena, 7 p.m. tonight. The New York Rangers are in town. Might be a tough task for the young man, but 21-year-old Latvian goaltender who you've heard talked about many a times on this show before, Arturs Silovs, is making his NHL debut tonight. And Chris, I am very excited for the kid. .956 save percentage over his last 5 starts down in Abbotsford. 3 shutouts on the season. This kid has progressed so well this year, and I am very happy to see him getting this opportunity today.
Yep, obviously is
to say the absolute least.
No, for sure. I mean, he's had a heck of a year so far in Abbotsford. He's been in a spot where, listen, we talked about this in the offseason going into it, was like, hey, if we get to a point at any point this year that we're currently in right now where Silovs is like challenging to be the starter in the AHL, that's a win. And he's been the starter. He's played in 35 of their 46 games. So lots of ice time for Arturs Silovs. And I was a little surprised this morning to see that, to hear Talkett say that that is going to be Silovs tonight. It's bold. I think it's extremely bold.
I genuinely, wasn't expecting it. I thought, okay, you reward the kid with a paycheck. He gets to get some work in with Ian Clark. Win-win. Everybody wins in this situation. But to put him in net, I'm not criticizing the decision at all. I'm a fan of this. And again, I'll address this right off the top. We're going to talk about this right away because you see the people on Twitter, and I put out a 3-tweet thread about this, and Twitter was breaking at the time, so it didn't upload, which I think is a direct attack against me, as I tweeted out earlier. But basically what I said in that thread was, I see a lot of people on Twitter, and maybe even people listening to this podcast, saying, why would they do this? Don't you remember Mikey DiPietro and what happened to him when he got thrown in an emergency situation when he was 19 years old against the San Jose Sharks? I believe that was a 7-2 loss right around my birthday. May have been on my birthday.
It was
it's all coming
Saturday
back
night
to me.
Rugby Sevens.
Yeah, it's all coming back to me. I was at Stan's Pizza Joint in North Burnaby watching that.
I was at the game.
Nice. Okay, anyways, let me get back to this. People comparing the two situations. And I think aside from the fact of a young goaltender under 22 is getting in net, like, I think that's the only comparison here. Because situation from the CHL to the AHL, that's a massive jump. That is a massive jump that is very hard for a lot of goaltenders to adjust to. CHL to the AHL. The jump from the AHL to the NHL in terms for goaltenders, it's not that different. learning to play pro hockey in North America. Pro hockey, that's the emphasis here. Those things are similar. The CHL and the AHL really aren't similar. And I'm saying this after talking to goaltenders. Look, I haven't played in the CHL. I haven't played in the AHL. I haven't played in the NHL. But I've talked to goaltenders who have played in all three, and the consensus seems to be the CHL to pro hockey, no matter where it is, that's the biggest jump. That is the biggest jump for a goaltender to make. So you take a 19-year-old kid, again, under emergency circumstances, so he doesn't really have time to prepare himself, anything like that. I don't even think all the preparation in the world couldn't have prepped Mikey DiPietro for what he was going to face that night. But, gotta take a breather. 19-year-old kid.
Where's my chicken and rice?
19-year-old kid coming from the CHL, going straight to the NHL. That's a massive jump to make. And again, I'm not even willing to entertain the idea that was what derailed Mikey DiPietro's development. The year on the COVID list, or on the taxi squad, that really hurt him a lot more. Okay? So that aside, the situation that Arturs Silovs is in now, this is a 21-year-old goaltender who, one, has played pro hockey before, okay? Now he's in Abbotsford, literally in Abbotsford, the AHL, okay? And he has been one of the best goaltenders in the league recently. The entire league, like Dustin Wolf in Calgary. There's a fantastic goaltending prospect. Remember the name, folks. Dustin Wolf is going to be awesome. Arturs Silovs been right there with him as of late, right? The way I look at this, Chris, is right now, I am confident in saying this. Put it on the record, starting the music back up. Arturs Silovs is the best goaltender in the Vancouver Canucks organization right now. Aside from Thatcher Demko. He is the best option that the Canucks have right now.
To play in the NHL?
To play in the NHL. Look at the numbers Colin Delia was putting up in the AHL before.
Yeah, I don't think it's...
Is Colin Delia sparking all sorts of confidence for you right now?
No, but Silovs isn't at the NHL level either.
I'm saying that, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Get this Arty-Party out.
You're absolutely right. But what I'm saying, Chris, is that right now, the situation that the Canucks find themselves in, it's either keep running with Spencer Martin, who's lost the last 10 games, and keep in mind, folks, another thing on the goaltending thing, the Canucks want to rebuild this asset. They want to have Spencer Martin capable of at least playing as a backup in the NHL next year, right? He's going down to Abbotsford to play. He's going down to work on some things with Marco Chirenius. It wasn't just a punishment that Spencer Martin was sent down or anything like that. The Canucks have vested interest in this guy. They want him. Remember, he signed for next year as well on a one-way deal. They want this guy to work it out. They want him to go down to Abbotsford, and they want him to figure out his game and kind of rebuild his game, if you will. Now, with that in mind, I really don't hate the idea of Silovs playing tonight because, as I said, it's not like the DiPietro situation. This is a 21-year-old goaltender who's been one of the best goaltenders in the AHL over the past little bit. It's a small sample size of him being fantastic, but he has taken the starter's load in the AHL this year, and that is a heavy load to dump on the kid. And it was for him. Like, he wasn't expecting to have it this year, but he's had to do the role. He's had to play in the role, similar to how Mikey DiPietro did the year before the taxi squad when he took the job from Zane McIntyre was the other goalie in Utica at the time. When he took that job and kind of ran with it under Trent Cull at the time, we were singing the praises of DiPietro. So maybe that's a lesson in pumping the brakes, and maybe I should take off these sunglasses and all three chains that I'm wearing.
Nope.
But I am excited to see Arturs Silovs in net tonight, and I don't understand. Well, actually, I understand where it's coming from. I do not agree with any sort of outrage over this decision of why would they do this against the Rangers? Look, if Silovs goes in tonight and lets in 8 goals, but he moves well, that's a successful NHL debut in my books.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's depending on what you want to see for the result being success for Silovs, because there's still a lot of things that Arturs Silovs needs to work on. Yes, for sure.
He looks like Jacob Markstrom when Jacob Markstrom first got to the Canucks.
Yeah, he's extremely athletic, and I think I always say this about goalies. I don't love goalies in general, but with Silovs, he's one of these goalies where when they're scrambling, you still feel some confidence in them. When they're scrambling around, they're still able to like make a save. There's certain guys that are just flopping. With Silovs, like there's a lot of things that he does right that way. I'm really happy that he's up here to get some time with Ian Clark, like get some in-person time with Ian Clark, because I don't think he sees a lot of, I know he talks to him a lot, but I don't think he sees a lot of them out there in Abbotsford. There's still video work and phone calls and all that being done, but now being here in person, I think that's the biggest win here for Arturs Silovs in the situation he's going to have. But you know what? 21-year-old kid. He's had a hell of a run this year. I enjoy talking to him out there in Abbotsford. Let's play one of the clips, actually. We do have some stuff from when I spoke to Silovs on Friday. We'll start with Silovs talking about the development that he's had going out there, because I asked him about, you know, being into a spot now where he's playing a lot more games, taking on the role of being a true starter in the AHL. Here's Arturs Silovs talking about his development.
It's actually fun getting experience, you know, like playing in American Hockey League. Like, it's like really good for me, my development, and I'm glad I have that kind of opportunity. So
with developing, like, I don't know if you were expecting to play this many games. Is it something that's like good for you to just play this much for development?
Yeah, I think it is good. Like getting mentally always ready for each game, because like, you know, you have to be short memory. You know, today, tomorrow's the next game.
Okay, sorry.
Go ahead.
Taking the reins again. Here's what I want people to remember, because we just pointed out that, yeah, he's like a young Jacob Markstrom in the sense of, you know, he's susceptible to the long range goal or the early one, right? Like, that's kind of what we've seen from Arturs Silovs. Might get beat under the arms. I'm not trying to predict what's going to happen in his NHL debut tonight. Of course, we're recording this before the first game, so this might not age well. But regardless, what I want people to remember, Chris, is that this is a 7th round pick by the Canucks. 6th round, actually, in the 2019 NHL entry draft. And what I want to remind people of, Chris, is they drafted him because of his raw talent, right? Like, he played for the Latvian national team at the World Juniors, and that's where the Canucks first saw him, right? Like, that's where Ian Clark first scouted him and said, this is the guy I want, right? And Clark really, really wanted Silovs in that draft year. Like, you know, I'm not going to delve into it too much, but all I'll say is Clark really wanted Silovs and made that clear to absolutely everybody in the Canucks organization. And he got his guy. He got his guy, and the guy has so much raw talent, Chris, that I want people to remember that even at 21 years old, with all these strides he's taken, he still has so much room to grow. Like, you're going to see a lot of things tonight that you don't see from Colin Delia and you don't see from Spencer Martin, because Silovs is an athletic freak and he just has those innate abilities, okay? But you're also going to see a lot of things that you see from Delia and Martin when you say, oh, damn, they shouldn't be doing that at the NHL level. The only difference is Silovs is 21 and has a ceiling, a much higher ceiling than either of the guys that the Canucks have been riding with, right? I have absolutely no problem with giving the kid a chance to play in the NHL and get his feet wet, right? And further to my point about the DiPietro thing, like, no matter what happens tonight,
drop the DiPietro.
Whatever. No matter what happens tonight, Chris, no matter what happens tonight with Arturs Silovs in net against the New York Rangers, who granted are a very strong team, no matter what happens, okay, during the Arty-Party, no matter what happens tonight, Silovs is going to go back to the AHL, and he's not going to miss a beat. He's not going to go down to the AHL, where he was just tearing it up. He's not going to go back down and say, oh, I got shelled by the Rangers. Oh, I really don't feel confident against the Bakersfield Condors. Like, this, it's a complete non-talking point, and I'm done. We're not spending any more time on it. The Arty-Party's coming to Vancouver tonight.
Let's hear from Silovs. He talked about his confidence from just playing games and the way that he's had. And this was, you know, confidence was sky high. Obviously, this is the conversation I had with him was after a 4-0 shutout. So let's get that clip up here. Let's get Arturs Silovs talking about confidence. This is from me speaking to him on Friday after his 4-0 shutout. So here is Arturs Silovs talking about it.
I feel pretty good right now. You know, like playing more and more games is like boosts your confidence. You know, and yeah, I feel pretty good right now.
About the goalie?
I think it's like more about like small changes. You know, it's like a game of details. So it's like always be reminded to be sharp on those things, like which are like missing sometimes, or you know.
Yeah, talking about the confidence and everything out there. Not a huge talker.
A couple people in the YouTube live chat, folks, come interact with us. We appreciate it. Dominic said, DiPietro was the only option available. Silovs has more trust from the organization considering the options available. It should be a different mindset. My point exactly. And Commander Vander said, drop the comparison.
Yeah, this is just him getting into I think like a scenario where Ian Clark can see him play in person, get a time to watch how he looks against NHL shooters, and then start to maybe key in on a few things, because Yeah, I really like Silovs, but I'm not super confident he's at that level just yet. He still has a lot of
growing to do.
a lot of things that he can learn from Ian Clark, I think.
Yep.
He's got, like, I saw this when Arturs Silovs was 18 years old. He was at Canucks training camp in Victoria. That was the first time I saw him on the ice, and I thought, man, like, this guy looks like he has that look of like an NHL size goaltender. Like, he looks big in the crease. He moved extremely well as an 18-year-old back then, and he's continued to kind of do those things here moving forward. Now it's just more about something that he's talked to me about throughout the season, is like just continuing to make the small changes, but keeping consistent, right? Like, keep a lot of consistency with what you're working on in drills, but also make these small changes at the necessary time. And that's the thing. You don't want him to come into an NHL game and make big changes or get away from the game plan that's given him success in Abbotsford this year. You just want him to go in and not even reach for a big change. Just go in there, and maybe you need to make a few small changes going up against NHL players. Like, maybe you have to be a little bit quicker getting to your spots, or not be able to, or stay in the butterfly for less time because you have to get up and quick and move with all the passes that are going to be at the NHL level, especially on a Rangers team that's a really good team. They got one of the better top sixes in the NHL. They just added Vladimir Tarasenko. They're on a 5-game win streak. They're averaging 5 goals a game over the last 5 games. They're going to score. They're going to score a lot, and they're going to score on Silovs tonight. It's going to happen. You just hope that he takes it the way that he's been talking about growing his game and developing his game throughout the season is all about small changes. You just don't want to see a big change come from this game. That's the negative that could come out of this, is him changing the way that he's playing, or just falling back to being, like I said this on Halford and Bruff last week, he's an incredible maker of saves. I don't think he's an incredible goaltender yet, but he's an incredible maker of saves. When he needs to make a save, Silovs is very good at that. He's not a tremendous goaltender yet, but he is a very good maker of saves.
Here's something I want to say to help you put it in a perspective of how much he's grown and how much he still has to grow, because you just laid it out pretty well about how he still has a lot of things that he can learn and a lot of things he can improve on as a goaltender, right? Remember, you just said 18-year-old, you saw him in Victoria, right? Do you remember how wide his stance used to be and how hunched over he was?
Nope, not even a little bit.
Okay, well, for anybody interested, and I know it might be all 5 of you, go Google his highlights.
Just dropping off.
His highlights at the World Juniors in 2018. That was the year. And how he's hunched over, 2019. Whatever year it was.
He never played in the World Juniors.
Okay, whatever it was. Whenever he played in his draft year. Go look at draft year tape of Arturs Silovs, okay? He's hunched over. His legs are super low and wide. And again, he's very low in the net. So it was funny you said he looks big in the crease. He didn't back then. He looked very small. He looked like, a very, very tiny goaltender. He didn't look like he doesn't look like doing himself any favors.
Like Koskinen, who just looks massive at 18.
Yeah, exactly. But
a little bit
Silovs, he's got the athleticism in the legs. It's similar to Yaroslav Askarov, actually. Yeah. And I'm not going to keep going on that. We're done. We're done.
Both extremely good goaltenders.
Arty-Party tonight. You've got Brock Boeser listed here.
Well,
I'm done for the rest
of the show. Final thing with Silovs is his record for the year, 21-9-4. So he has been out there getting a lot of wins for the Abbotsford Canucks team. And I mentioned, played in 35 of the 46 games. Tell you what, like he's playing the best hockey of his pro career too. The last 5 games have been excellent. He's allowed 6 goals over the last 5 games.
Final thing on Arty. With all this stuff about teams being interested reportedly in Thatcher Demko, and the Canucks obviously, if they get calls, they're obviously going to consider it. Do you think they'd have a more comfortable time considering it and taking a big return if they at least have an idea of what Silovs might look like in the NHL level? Like this idea of don't do it against the Rangers. If he craps the bet against the Rangers, then the Canucks at least know where he's at.
Yeah, but if he gets a shutout, they aren't trading Demko tomorrow.
Of course not. Although
they're not going to give him a run. They're not going to give him a run.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying for the long-term outlook of the goaltending department, it is good to know what your 21-year-old goaltender who's tearing it up in the A is going to look like.
Yeah, but you're not going to know what he's going to look like. You're getting one game, right? You're going to see one game. You're getting
one game. Yeah, but I'm not saying look at the result and go off that only.
Okay.
I'm saying how comfortable does he look? How far off does he look? I think
to your point, if you saw him, and I've had this thought for a while, like I would be fine seeing Silovs get 4 to 6 starts this year to finish off the season. Like he's in Abbotsford. You can call him up whenever, get him a start, send him back. Like I know that it's not good. That's not how you're going to win the most games. Like when Thatcher Demko's healthy, that's great. But like now that you have Abbotsford right here, you should utilize this. And if you have even like basically anything except for him getting scored on 6 times on the first 12 shots and getting pulled, like if that happens, don't do that again this year. But if any other result happens, I'm totally fine seeing Silovs for 3 or 4 more games after tonight this season. Just to get to your point of like now you see half decent sample size of where he's at as a 21-year-old. So I'm down for that.
I agree with you. Okay. Brock Boeser. Let's go.
Let's
I'll get the poll question in soon. You go ahead.
Let's get to the quotes from Patrick Alvin on Brock Boeser, that Ian McIntyre, who I think is going to join us this week at some point. IMAC's going to join the show again this week. Let's get to the quotes from here. Talking about Brock Boeser, this is what Patrick Alvin had to say. And because we obviously know there's been a lot of talk for a long time about the Canucks potentially trading Brock Boeser, it being an option, him maybe looking for, a fresh start. I think that's what we've all kind of talked about for a long time here is like, I would love to see Brock Boeser with a fresh start and a team that really believes in him being a top line guy. He's been producing pretty well for the Canucks. Let's hear this is what Alvin, I'm just going to read it off for you. This is what Alvin had to say when he had a conversation with Ian McIntyre on Sportsnet CA. Check it out. This is Alvin. He said, I don't want to force anything. As I've said, we're 27th in the league, and I'm trying to find solutions where I can help the players get better. How can I push the players? How can I support them in a role where they can play to their strengths and be the best version of themselves? And in this particular case, I think Brock Boeser is still a young player. The team wasn't good off the start from training camp, and Brock had his injury and never really got going. I will say that I think Brock has been playing his best hockey over the last few games. More energy, more pace, more involved. He's getting his points, and a lot of them at 5-on-5, which is pretty impressive. I still believe he's a good player, and I don't want to give up on him. That is Vancouver Canucks general manager Patrick Alvin on the Brock Boeser situation. And it will be interesting because I think for some people look at Brock Boeser as just a contract that you want to get rid of, right? Like a lot of people out there are looking at Brock Boeser and saying, okay, it's $6 million plus. You would just take that as a negative value asset. But the way that he's been playing of late and the way that I think he has the potential to play, I don't think this is a player you give up for nothing.
Very hard to disagree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, his deployment is going to affect this conversation a lot as we go, right? Because, look, I want to get your take on this because it looks like on Wednesday night, they were recording this, it looks like Brock Boeser's out of the top 6, right?
Yeah, playing with Kuzmenko and Dries, it looks like.
Yeah, so how much is that line going to do? You've got 2 guys in Boeser and Kuzmenko who can't drive a line. And you've got Sheldon Dries.
Here's the other thing you want to bring up about
who can't drive a line. Just to be clear, I'm not saying Sheldon Dries.
The thing about Boeser in that spot with those 2 players specifically. Can you get the graphic up from that I made? Beautiful graphic, made it this morning. Brock Boeser. What pops off the page about this graphic? What's the one number that pops off the page here?
-17.
Exactly. And I know the plus minus. People's Where does this come from that the plus minus is useless, though? It's not a useless
I don't want to
stat.
explain this to you right now.
It's not a useless
It's not
stat.
useless. It's deeply flawed.
Yeah, sure. It's deeply flawed, but
yeah.
so is save percentage and so is goals against average. It's so are goals. Is a really good assist worth less than a goal?
Are we really starting this?
I'm just saying the -17, that's not a number you want on your stat sheet.
Okay.
And I know it's somewhat flawed of a stat, but it's still somewhat useful in my eyes.
Sure, it's still, yeah.
He's been on the
absolutely.
ice or in the penalty box, because you can get a minus if you're in the penalty box, for 17 goals against. Like that's not great when you're in a spot where you're playing with, as I mentioned it before, Sheldon Dries and Andrei Kuzmenko. Not really too, like, if you're looking at those 3 players, you're looking at the Canucks' third line tonight. Brock Boeser is the best defensive player on that line. And I don't think it's close. He's a better defender than Dries and Kuzmenko. So maybe you're looking to kind of boost some of the points numbers, the goals total, everything there. I don't think you're really going to be helping the plus minus that much, especially in a game tonight where the Rangers also have a very good third line. The Rangers have a line that they can put together that's going to be their forward group is very impressive from first line to fourth line, and then they added Tarasenko to it. It's going to be an impressive little run here, but I just think that Brock Boeser had his money. You don't want to have to take money back and not get an asset. Like if you're taking money back on Brock Boeser, yeah, you can see the third line there. Philip Hedl, Alexis Lafreniere, and Capo Caco. Like, fun little third. They got some fun stuff going on with the Rangers team. They're going to be fun to watch tonight. But with Brock Boeser, if you're taking money back, which I think a lot of trades of any player involving like a contract over like $3 million is going to require this year, just the way the cap is in the NHL, you need to get a pretty solid asset if you're taking money back on Boeser. Like a solid asset, whether it be a trade, a draft pick, or a very high-end prospect. I think some teams going to benefit from making a trade for Brock Boeser. I think these teams are going to realize that here pretty soon. I think that that's going to be realized by an NHL team before the trade deadline. Some team is going to realize this guy can help us a lot in what we're trying to accomplish here this season. And I would wish nothing but success if Brock Boeser goes on to a contending team. I would be rooting for that team to win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, Brock Boeser's a good guy. Again, you've talked about it with Spencer Martin. I said again. I'm trying to cut back.
No, but if you bring attention to it, you're in trouble.
Well, at least people know I'm working on it because it's my crutch word, and I'm working on it.
The other line thing that we should bring up here, to me, tonight is a night for Vasily Podkolzin to let his built-up confidence explode. He is playing with Pettersson. He is playing with Beauvillier. This is the spot that he would, if Podkolzin was putting together the lineup, I bet it would look something like this. Like, this is a great spot for him to be in right now with this team getting an option tonight to play with Elias Pettersson on that top line. I think Beauvillier is kind of that smaller skilled type of player that might end up fitting well with them. So I really would keep an eye on Vasily Podkolzin, who I think was at peak confidence in those last few games in the AHL, shooting the puck a ton, 7, 8, 9 shot attempts per game for Podkolzin in those final few AHL games. And I think he's looked really good since coming back up to the NHL. Tonight where he's got to prove it because it's his first game playing with Pettersson since earlier in the season, I guess this year before the reassignment to the AHL. So big night for Pods, I think, here. I'm watching Podkolzin tonight.
And PDG, cousin Phil.
Yeah, there you go.
Phil DiGiuseppe,
friend of the show,
alongside JT Miller, Connor Garland tonight. Okay, enough about tonight. People in the chat are having some fun with the fact that we've basically deviated from the daily topics that we were going to hit today. The ticker. No, we haven't. We're okay. We'll hit everything. It's just the first 20 minutes were spent on Arturs Silovs, which for some reason wasn't written in the ticker. Okay, let's get to the poll question. Our poll question brought to you by the great folks over at Atlas Goods. Go to atlasgds.com. Use promo code CC15 for 15% off your first order of pop rinds. These are the best fresh pork rinds straight from your microwave or air fryer. Locally owned and operated Atlas Goods. Our poll question today: are you already actively scoreboard watching, in brackets, tank for Bedard style? Yes, go everyone else. No, I want the Canucks to win. Not yet, but soon I will. And as always, I'm angry.
This is a great person to ask, because how many years has Alex Allard, our producer, a Ottawa Senators fan, been watching? Alex is a vet in scoreboard watching for a tank. I know that he's going to have the right answer here.
As we wait for that, I just want to quickly.
I'm gonna vote based on the Sens though here and say I want the Canucks to win.
No.
So Alex skewing the results a little bit, voting for
the 2.1%.
Voting for no, I want the Canucks to win.
I knew Alex is basically the 1%.
At the time of this recording, almost 300 voters. At least one of those people was not a Canucks fan, saying he wants the Canucks to win. So the results: 83% say yes, go everyone else. 9% say they're angry. 6% say not just yet, but soon I will. Again, asking if you're scoreboard watching for the tank. And 2%, as we mentioned, say no, I want the Canucks to win. We're at the
point of the season where 2.1% of Canucks fans, or not even 2.1% of Alex and a couple of Canucks fans want to see the Canucks win.
I voted the yes, go everyone else version, like the Ottawa Senators version.
So he gets it. Alex gets the tank. He understands the tank, but he did vote as a Senators fan. So with that in mind, I just want to point out,
how much are you paying attention? I'm not there yet.
I'm absolutely there. I've been there for at least a week.
I don't need the nightly updates. Sure. Tommy and his photo there.
I love that.
Eating the goal.
I love that.
I don't need it every game.
Okay, here's the thing, Chris. If there's any listeners out there like you want to keep up to date. You want to keep up to date? Lachlan Irvin has a article column at Canucks Army for the rest of the season. We're running it where he previews the week ahead of what games that you need the Canucks to lose if you want them to advance in the draft lottery rankings.
Right.
And also how the weeks before went for all those teams. Basically just how good of a week it was for the Canucks tanking efforts. I'll tell you what, Chris, last week was very good for the Canucks tanking efforts. And that was actually the first edition of the article. Again, Lachlan Irvin over at CanucksArmy.com.
Okay. Give me the Arty-Party music again.
Okay. I thought you'd never
Move on
ask.
here.
I'm excited.
Stop the music. We got something to address on the show. You brought a cookie cake over yesterday for my fiance. I told her about it. She got so excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
She was so excited. You brought 2 pieces, one for yourself and one for my beautiful fiance who listens to the show. Avid listener, never comments in the chat. Why don't you tell everyone what happened to that second piece? Tell everyone the first piece was in your stomach yesterday before you left. So you took one piece home with you. What'd you do with the other piece that you brought over for my fiance?
As I mentioned to you, I told you not to bring this up. I told you didn't want to start this fight, but I'm going to finish it for you. I bring over a cookie pie for you.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, okay? You didn't say she wanted it. I would have brought a third one. No problem.
Oh,
No problems there. Victoria, my lovely girlfriend, would have happily made it. Would have happily done it. Made a big cookie pie in the cast iron pan. Okay? Delicious. Okay? This one was a little old. It was a little stale. And I ate it for lunch and I was like, you know what? This is a little stale. So unknowingly, I didn't intentionally take it home, but I clean up after myself when I come to your apartment. And I took it off the island because I left it on the kitchen island for you. And instead of you putting it aside on a high shelf where I couldn't reach it, you decided to leave it right on the island. I cleaned up after myself. I cleaned up. I took it with me by accident. Realized once I got home that I had taken it. So what does my girlfriend do? Makes a fresh one. I bring that and it still gets brought up on the show.
I appreciate that.
So maybe sub poll question.
No.
Is Chris a Saka?
No, here's the problem. You bring over a cookie cake yesterday, and I tell my fiance, hey, Dave brought you over a cookie cake. So what's she thinking about as she's got 6 hours left of her day? Literally saving children's lives, Quads. She's saving children's lives. All day long, she works a long shift. Saving children's lives.
So here's
with
the point.
One thing keeping her going through the day. My love and a cookie cake, which she was promised. So
That's
when
two
she
things.
comes through
Are we
the door,
talking like this?
It looks similar
no
to that,
marshmallows,
yes, Alex.
but
No marshmallows.
very similar to that. So she comes home. I pick her up from work because I'm a nice fiance. Drove you home too.
No, you didn't.
Drove you
To a sky train.
close to home. And then I go pick her up, come home, and what's the first thing she says through the door? She doesn't say thank you for the ride. Or I appreciate the ride. That was so kind of you on
Is this
Valentine's
turning into
Day.
you slagging on her?
Anyways, what is the first thing she says to the door? Where's the cookie cake? And I say, oh, maybe Dave put it in the fridge. Maybe he put it in a cupboard, a cupboard. He put it, maybe it's left in the office. And what do we look around? We're looking around the whole house. The only thing we freaking find in here is a Riley Stillman signed autograph card or something. That's what we find in this house. Once again, Riley Stillman coming through for it again on this show. So now I have to deal with her not being happy about the cookie cake. Now she's got a fresh one today. I'll appreciate that. But just know that there was some sadness brought into this house on Valentine's Day.
I want to go back to something because just months away from your wedding, you admitted to being a liar.
No, I'm not a liar.
Yeah. You said that you told her that I specifically brought the cookie cake for her.
Yeah, that's what I said.
That's news to me.
From now on, I won't make you look good when I talk about you to my fiance. I'll just, I was trying to boost you up a little bit. Dave brought you a special cookie cake made from Victoria.
Today was special for her.
Okay.
Today was. Okay, let's get to the Abbotsford update.
We'll see.
Some poll question: who won this argument?
My fiance and your girlfriend are now chatting in the chat here. What are we getting to?
Cookie cake was not part of the rundown either. I'm just looking through it now.
Okay, so everyone's piling on me today. We did 45 minutes off the top about a goaltender. I'm already in a bad mood, and today's the first day I'm feeling not having energy drinks. Okay, How deep are we into the week? Is it?
We've had some good shows this week.
Yeah,
in
but
all
how?
seriousness.
I feel like it's been the longest week of my life. I haven't had an energy drink since like last Thursday.
It's okay, you got to get off that stuff. I've told you that.
But they say this about like when if you're addicted to something, 3 days go by and then you don't need, like people that smoke. What do they say? Once you get past 3 days, you'll never touch a cigarette again. Oh man, I'm stuck here with this freaking cranberry juice. No energy drinks.
Your fiance is commenting in the chat. She said, I knew Dave didn't bring it for me. Chris was the one who promised it to me.
Okay, let's keep this.
Signing checks he can't cash.
Let's keep this back on the Canucks here.
I don't think that's actually.
Let's go back to the Canucks. Canucks conversation.
Abbotsford update. Let's go.
Abbotsford update. So watch a game last night. I got clips to pull up here. I got some stuff to talk to bring up what I'm talking about. I want to start with this beautiful graphic that I made of Danila Klimovich. Okay. Another beautiful graphic, put together another one. I've outdone myself. Look at this. AHL. So 43 games played for Danila Klimovich. He's got 10 goals, 11 assists on the season. But I'm starting to see a couple of those things that worry you about Klimovich come back into his game a little bit. The frustration is kind of starting to show again. There's some things that I really liked. Like I've really liked his fitness level looks better. It looks like he's able to skate hard for longer on shifts. He's not, dead at the end of most of his shifts. His shot that he took the other day, I got the video up here now, so you can get that thing out of here. Thanks, Alex. This shot that he took yesterday was an absolute howitzer, they call it. He hammered this shot. He misses the net. That's too bad. A little bit of a little frustration there, but this shot, not too great on the YouTube, but you can check it out on my Twitter. It was absolutely wired. So much power behind it. That's super exciting. When he dials in that shot, he's going to be a scary guy for goaltenders for a long time. And I think he's taken really big steps this season. He's played better in a lot of areas. But last night, and I've seen this for the last couple of weeks here, you're starting to see that visible frustration on the ice that I don't think you can have as like a real, true, good professional player. It's hard to have that very visible frustration, especially when it's leading to things like slashing the opposition, hitting guys, pushing guys in the back, a lot of these things that are going to lead to penalties pretty soon here. It's got to be, it was nipped in the bud earlier in the year. It absolutely was. I don't know if it was from the Dan Milstein visit when he came to Vancouver, if it was something from the Sedins, or if it was something from Jeremy Colleton. But whoever did it last time, I think they need to have a similar conversation with him and just get him back on the right track. Because after that happened, when they got him just focused on the game and not letting the emotions get the best of him, that's when he was at his best. For that little stretch, basically before the last kind of 2 weeks or so, like the 6 to 8 weeks before that, he was locked in. He wasn't getting frustrated on the ice. He was just focused on, forecheck, back check, being a hockey player. And he was doing an excellent job. It seems like he's leaned a little bit more back to being that shooter and having that frustration back in his game. So whoever talked to him last time, I could have been the Sedins, right? Like when I talked to him when he was in that hot streak, he did mention that like the Sedins, he's been talking to them and really understanding a lot, but also praised Colleton as well. So I think they just need to kind of get him back on track again and then keep him now in these situations because he's earned power play time from how good he played over that time. He's earned these times and this opportunity, but it just feels like he's kind of straying off of that path again. You want to get him on that good development path that you've seen throughout the season. So that was just something I've noticed in the past maybe 3-4 Abbotsford Canucks games of watching him. Like you can see a few little things of him just being a little bit too emotional.
It'll be interesting to see if there's a scratch again to kind of hit that reset button or how they go about it.
It isn't because he's not putting up the points like he was when you couldn't scratch him. He's now not putting up a lot of points and you're thinking maybe another scratch would be there. But I don't think that's what's needed. But I'm not the coach. I'm not there in the room. I'm not there.
We should have Colleton on soon.
We will have Colleton on soon.
Okay.
Pretty quick here.
Anything else from Abbotsford?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nils Hoglander. Oh man, I tell you, like Nils Hoglander, I always loved this in the SHL. He just knows how to piss people off, right? Like when he's playing his game, he just knows how to piss people off. Here he is here drawing a penalty in the Abbotsford game. You can see him behind the net, roughing it up with a big 6'4" defenseman. Hoglander just pissing people off, getting under their skin, getting underneath, like just pissing guys off as a little guy. Takes the punch in the face and ends up drawing the penalty there, sends them to a power play late in the game while they're down by 2. Just a guy who's been playing such a different style of game. And I know a lot of people that watched him in Sweden before, they saw a lot of this because he was like this in Sweden very often. He was a guy that was not fun to play against. And we're seeing a little bit more of that in the AHL. Like I even asked Podkolzin about this back when we've seen that when Podkolzin was down in the AHL playing with him. And yeah, like, you know, you're the best. I've said this for a long time. The best Nils Hoglander is an angry Nils Hoglander. And he's been playing with a lot of anger the last little bit here, which is getting the best out of his game, I think, because he pisses his opponents off a lot. Not to the level of like calling him a rat, but like low key, he's being a little angry hog, and I like it.
Angry hog. Okay. I quickly want to get this in. Couple things. Parker Christopher in the chat, YouTube live chat, check us out, folks.
Yep.
Asked if I was high. When I wear these sunglasses.
You know what? That would explain you taking home an extra piece of cookie cake for yourself yesterday to you know, something to munch on the SkyTrain.
Anyways, whenever I wear these sunglasses, these are my party sunglasses, folks. Not high.
What kind of party are we having over here? Anyway?
An Arty-Party. All right. And then the other thing, this is something that I brought up, and it was discussed in the chat a little bit, and I would have liked to have brought it up earlier in the show. I'm saying it now because I want us to remember to talk about it tomorrow. It was from a listener in the chat, Matt Whippen, said, is it possible to trade OEL in the offseason by attaching 2 first-round picks and $1 million retained? That's your homework for the day, Chris. Think about that. Think about what it would cost to get rid of OEL, and I'd like to just before we get to Betway here, I'd like to also mention OEL is a no-movement clause, full no-move clause.
Oh, yeah.
So it might be possible, but is it possible to get him to waive that no-move clause, to honor that and go wherever you want, wherever you work out that's going to work out?
I tell you what, if I'm going to give you an answer for that, I'm going to take a 3-week Ashram, and I'll come back with an answer for you.
We'll talk about it.
That's what it's going to take.
We'll talk about it. Okay, Betway, get us out of here.
All right, Betway. We got Canucks game bets tonight. Our Betway bets of the day. Let's get that up on the screen. Vladimir Tarasenko or JT Miller to score a goal in this game. Just love the either ors. You know, it's a little more fun. Right, Quads? How many goals does Vladimir Tarasenko have over his last 5 games?
I believe it's 4.
I think you're actually right, yeah. It is 4. JT Miller or Tarasenko to score a goal. Minus 150 odds on that over on Betway. Betway, $10 bet will return you $16.66 over on Betway. Don't know if I'm going to keep sticking with that. Isn't that like the sign of the devil or something?
Yes.
Well, that's the problem.
You know the Number of the Beast song by Iron Maiden? I think it's by them.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Over 6.5 total goals in the game, and Elias Pettersson to score 2 or more points, plus 225. A $10 bet that's going to return you $32.50 with our Betway bets of the day over here. And by the way, I probably just jinxed it here, but all week long, my Betway videos on Canucks Army there, I've put out 3 videos. I have done 3 takes this week. All of those videos first take. So take that for what it is. Good for you.
19 plus. If you choose to play, please play responsibly. We'll wrap it up there. We'll be back tomorrow to talk about Arturs Silovs NHL debut. I'm very excited for it. We'll have lots of stuff over at CanucksArmy.com as well.
I wish for him I want Silovs to do well. I really do. I just know that people shouldn't take too much away from this. Just have a little Arty-Party tonight. Enjoy the game. Watch this guy play. Watch the way he moves.
That's right.
But at the same time, don't have any expectations. Like, just go. Tonight, I talked about on the show yesterday, you just want to have some fun. They're going to try and squeeze out all the fun from this team that they have left here in this roster. This is an example of that. This is one of those fun nights that you'll be able to get from the Canucks because of an Arty-Party.
You got to answer the chat if you've used the word of the day today.
Oh. What?
Here it comes, folks.
I have. Yeah.
Oh, you have?
You missed it too.
What is it?
Well, you asked me to figure out how to trade OEL or something.
Yeah, okay.
And I said I need a 2-week ashram.
Oh, very good.
A religious or spiritual retreat is what I would need to get you the answer for that. 2 weeks of that.
All right.
Hey, I actually know this next word.
Okay, well, we'll hear it tomorrow. Okay. We'll wrap it up there. For my co-host, Chris Faber, and our technical producer, Alex Allard.
Alex has got...
We need to bring this up.
Yeah.
Alex taking a cheap shot.
No, he's telling us to get people to move there.
Yeah.
Taking a cheap shot.
Go subscribe to the Canucks Army YouTube channel, folks. That's what Alex would like to remind you of.
Yes. Because look at what happened over the last little bit here.
Yeah, the Leafs.
Don't get me started with these Leafs folks over there.
Go subscribe, Canucks Army YouTube channel.
It's the people up top again, probably, on this one.
Okay, I don't need this to turn into some big thing.
Mm-hmm.
We'll wrap it up there. For my co-host, Chris Faber, my name is David Quadrelli. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Canucks Conversation.
No respect on the West Coast.
Thanks for listening to Canucks Conversation. Hit the subscribe button to never miss an episode.
How about keep it to a